Welcome to the NFL Big Match Preview, brought to you by NFL Insight. I'm Andy Richmond, and over the next 10 minutes or so I'll be taking an in-depth look at the Arizona Cardinals' visit to the Philadelphia Eagles in a clash of two teams that have won the last 7 games between them. What we're going to cover? Well, we'll take a look at some of the betting markets, reflect on previous games between the two teams and their season so far, but most importantly we'll be taking a look at those tactical facets within the game which could well decide this contest between these two teams which are on a bit of a roll at the moment. We'll round out the preview with a small sample of our live match trading statistics which form the basis of our trading decisions and strategies which will be playing out on Sunday night when we'll be trading this game live. First of all, let's take a look at how the odds on this contest are being accessed and compare them with our NFL Insight Master Tissue, which we produce for each and every NFL game that is played. Gives you an authentic and original tissue in your hands to judge the true prices in the marketplace. Here you can have a look. Well, let's have a look on the bookmakers are making this. The Cardinals should be around 2.6. We reckon they should be around 2.5, slightly shorter. So there is a little bit of value in that Cardinals price, and you can also see there that we have produced prices for the teams to score the first touchdown and the first field goal. If you're looking for a price on the Cardinals, well, you should certainly, as a scoring play, certainly be looking around for 3-1 around that market. For the Eagles, possibly just under 2-1, around that 15-8 marker. The price is there for the field goal. We produce lots of prices like that for outcomes within the game via our live match trading statistics sheets. Let's have a look at how the guys at Matchbook price this game up, because it's we're using them at the moment for our pre-game trading and assessments. We probably urge you to take a look at them as a value alternative to the fixed odds firms and BetDAQ and Betfair. They have good liquidity on there and cover the NFL fully with a large range of markets. And you can see there, well, there's that price on Arizona, 2.48. It's been quite well supported this week against the Eagles. I think they're actually a little bit of value here. I can certainly see the Eagles moving away from that 1.64 price, certainly during the game, because the Cardinals, well, they're a little bit unheralded. I'll touch on that point a little bit later. The handicap, well, it's probably just home field advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles to bring these two into line. 3 points is the handicap that the Eagles are asked to give up at the moment. And let's have a look at the points total, 48.5 points. Both these sides have actually scored plenty of points recently, and I'd probably just be erring on the side of us going over this. I think this could be quite a back and forth game with plenty of ebbs and flows within the game and points on the board. They've certainly both got some dangerous customers on offence, although their defences have been playing quite well. But I just err on the side of the overs here. I think this could be quite an entertaining game and an excellent game to trade as well. Let's take a reflection. Well, the reflection on these two sides of the past between the Cardinals. Well, the Eagles have played the Cardinals in many guises. For those of you with very long memories, they actually started life as the Chicago Cardinals, then became the St. Louis Cardinals, and of course they're now the Arizona Cardinals. Since 2000, they have played each other 10 times. They've won 5 apiece. However, the Cardinals have won the last 3 straight. Let's have a look at their season so far. The Cardinals 7-4, come in as one of the form teams, having won their last 4 games consecutively, scoring 121 points. They're on a really decent roll there. The Eagles, well, they're 6-5. They're also on a roll as one of the form teams, and they've scored plenty of points recently, 100 in total in their last 3 games. So they're both sides racking up plenty of points here. Now, let's have a look at some of these facets of the game that we think will decide how this will play out. We'll take the Cardinals first because they're on the road. We'll talk about, when you talk about wide receivers in the Cardinals, your first thought is always Larry Fitzgerald, and so it should be. But have the Cards unearthed another gem in Michael Floyd to form a dual receiving threat? He backed up his 193-yard performance against what is a moderate Jacksonville Jaguars team with 7 receptions for 104 yards. That's 14.9 yards per catch with that performance against the Colts last week. That's his 3rd 100-yard game of his career and his first in back-to-back games. What's great about this connection Floyd seems to have with Carson Palmer now is that there aren't many passes off target. Floyd has 7 receptions on 7 targets from Palmer against the Colts, and last week it was 6 receptions on 10 targets. He really does give the Cards another aerial threat, and that's one thing I really do like about the Cardinals at the moment. That's a nice balance on their offence. Michael Floyd, I'm certainly going to have a look at him in the player and touchdown scorer markets. He might still be flying a little bit under the radar. Now, one element of the game that the Cardinals have been able to shut down this year is the opponent's run game, and they held the Colts to a mere 80 yards, most of which came late after Indianapolis decided just to run the clock out and get out of town with very much their tail between their legs. If the Cardinals can put the same pressure on the Eagles' run game, it will also put pressure equally on Eagles quarterback, and more of him later, Nick Foles, to make things happen with his arm. And though he's looked fine in the last few games, he still has to convince some observers if the pressure is on him in the passing game. One thing they will have to improve if they can shut down the Eagles' running game is their pass rush and getting pressure on the opposing quarterback. Sure, they got plenty of hurries and hits on Andrew Luck last Sunday, but they came up short on sacks, and never a big improvement in that area. And they need a big improvement in that area to shut down the Eagles' passing attack. Given time, which can pick you apart. So that pass coverage at the back end needs to be spot on as well. So pass coverage and pass rush needs to be spot on for the Eagles on Sunday. The one thing that the Cardinals haven't got is respect. I think they've thrown, they're playing a tough division, but they're matching pace with the 49ers. And though they're 3 games back on division leader Seattle, they still have a good shot in the NFC wildcard race. Although it might be worth pointing out that all the teams in the race, bar New Orleans, they have the hardest remaining playing schedule, playing teams with a 33-22 record, and they have a trip to Seattle as their penultimate game of the regular season. They should not be underestimated though, and anyone who does is in for a rude awakening. Now, balance is always a factor that I like to see in an offence, and with Rashard Mendenhall emerging as a running threat, the Cardinals have it in that area where it's taken time to find their feet in this year. They haven't been that good at running the ball, but Mendenhall, he looked quicker and more sudden on Sunday. There was that zip and dash that he had a couple of years ago back in his leg. There was a burst. That burst led to his longest run of the season on the first drive of the game. There was a 15-yard scoot off the right tackle. Probably would have been just about a 3-yard gain a couple of weeks ago. Now, will he have that burst for the rest of the season? If he does, it's great for the run game if he does, and for the Cardinals overall, who will add that lovely balance to their offence, which is really starting to catch fire. Now, let's flip things over. We'll take a look at the Eagles. The Eagles haven't really beaten anyone yet. You could say that about them. At 5-5-1, Green Bay represents the best record of any opponent Philadelphia has defeated this season. And the Packers, of course, were without quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Everyone else they played was under 500. To be fair, a team can only ever beat what opponents are on the schedule, and the Birds, well, they've been doing just that. If they're going to make the playoffs, however, they're actually going to be faced with some playoff caliber teams along the way. The only team with a losing record on their remaining schedule is Minnesota. They play Arizona, Detroit, Chicago and Dallas. They're all over 500, all very much in the thick of the NFC playoff hunt. The Eagles still need to prove they belong in the conversation. They have that chance on Sunday, but this is a proper test for them. I've always preached that yards given up by a defence don't matter, and they don't. It's points that ultimately decide who wins or loses a football game. But the Eagles, despite allowing 21 or fewer points in 7 straight games, need to cut down on their yards allowed. They're very much a bend don't break defence. They're on pace to allow the 4th most yards in a season in NFL history. They've allowed more than 325 yards in every game this season. They're ranked 6th in red zone percentage. But who knows if that will last as the season continues. Stops in the red zone usually result in field goals. If the Eagles can force more 3 and outs and limit the other team's snaps on offence, they can then allow their defence to rest. After all, the defence for the Eagles has been on the field for almost 35 minutes per game this season, easily the highest total in the league. So bending, not breaking, but will that continue? Now, Deshaun Jackson, he's in the middle of his best season of the NFL career. He's caught 58 passes for 985 yards and 7 touchdowns in 11 games. But in the past 2 games, he's recorded just 8 combined targets on offence. All 8 of those passes have been completed, going for 162 yards and a touchdown. The 4 targets per game are Jackson's lowest single game totals of the season. It's just incredible that they haven't used him more. Good things happen when the Eagles get the ball in the hands of their most explosive wide receiver. They need to make sure this happens more than it has over the past 2 games. Let's talk about the quarterback position at Philadelphia, which has been in a state of flux this year. And right now, Nick Foles might be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's led the Eagles to 3 straight victories. He's thrown 16 touchdown passes without an interception, and his 128 passer rating is the highest mark in the NFL. He's even making plays on the ground, but then it's in the Eagles' best interest to continue to push the youngster. Also for as well as Foles has played in Kelly's offense, we're still talking about a 24-year-old player who's only making his 12th career start this week against the Arizona Cardinals. Saw a lot of this last year. We had young quarterbacks, Robert Griffin III, Colin Kaepernick of the 49ers, of course Griffin of the Redskins, and they just haven't quite gone on this season. So there's always a little bit of worry about whether they can actually keep this form going. Foles is facing a decent test here against what is a tough Cardinals defence. They're tough on the run, they've got a good secondary. If they can resurrect their pass rush, Foles is in for a good examination here on Sunday. Now, Eagles head coach Chip Kelly likes his offence to play fast, to establish a rhythm in practice and have that carry over into games. Why is faster better for Eagles? Well, Kelly says it's a matter of routine, and that can unbalance and phase defences at times. The Cardinals better be ready for this at times because the Eagles' offense can get rolling via tempo momentum, and when they do, they're hard to stop. Disrupting that tempo will be key for the Cardinals, while the Eagles, they will want to play at their pace, which is fast, and you'll see that on Sunday. So those are some of the facets of the game that I'll be looking out for on Sunday and seeing how that's going to play out, and those some of the affect some of the game. I also mentioned right at the start of the show that we have our exclusive trading stat sheets. They've got tons of information about how sides have responded in certain situations before and how likely they are go on to win the game. So they're giving you an automatic look at how prices should be at certain points. So an in-play tissue, if you like. Here you can see what the true prices should be of the following situations at half time, and likely in situations that happen throughout the game. So if the Philadelphia are leading by 7 points at half time, 80% of the time they go on to win the game. So that will give you a good idea of the marker of how much confidence you can have in the marketplace. In our live trading room on Sunday night, we have the ability at any point in the game to predict a live tissue price. That gives us a really good marker as to how good there are. And another facet I often retire to, a lot of market love for some teams. Some teams are very, very hard to move from a price, but it takes a while for it to happen. But once they get on the downside of the score, then the price really blows apart. Now, we've always got those prices to be able to give us the confidence in what is happening in the marketplace as well. We've got the ability to predict, in effect, a live tissue price and how likely statistically certain outcomes are to happen. All of these statistics are based on hundreds of games that we've now sampled and modelled together on our live trading sheets. So here you can see what the percentage chances each side would hold with these winning margins within the game at half time. You can also take a look at the chances of a side dashing out into a 10-0 lead. This might be useful if you're playing on the winning margin markets as well. All of this data gives us a fantastic idea of the ebbs and flows within the market and how it should be priced at any moment and situation within the game. The statistics that I've shown you here, they're just a small taste of the plethora of data that we have available in those sheets. They're exclusive to NFL Insight and our live updates, which we use in our trading room on Sunday nights when we're trading these games very much live. And not, I wouldn't say dangerous, but we have some very, very good strategies which we've used to good effect this year. Now, the match previews that you're watching here, and I hope you're enjoying them, they're exclusive to NFL Insight, and if you like them, you can subscribe to NFL Insight via our TV channel, which is on YouTube, where you'll get all the latest previews, and it's certainly a service we're looking at expanding in the future. I'll be back next week for a couple of more match previews on the NFL. Now, if you like our betting focused previews, you can also get those via www.betting-insight.com, which is our website, which takes a look at all the best betting opportunities on the game once I've taken into account all the tactical factors in this preview. If you like what we're doing here at NFL Insight, we have previews, statistics, trading views and betting advice. NFL Insight, we think, is at the forefront of a new way of looking at and betting on the NFL. Information and betting all in the same place. I'm Andy Richmond. You've been watching NFL Insight and the Big Match Preview. I hope to see you again soon.